Could you do the roll call, please, ma'am?
Jared Ricky.
Here.
Thomas Doss.
Here.
Monica Mazzella. Here. Michael Newstrom.
Here.
Karen Fareed. Eula Simeon.
Here.
Lenore Feeney. Here. And Jason Henry.
Here.
I have to commend you, no stumbling over Paris. He would have been too bashful to say that, so I didn't say
Oh, man. Moving on to opportunity to address the commission by employees or others. Okay. Anyone else? All right. Moving on to the business then. Item number 1, consideration of the July 13th, 2017 minutes. Do we have any comments or concerns? Has everybody had an opportunity to review them? Everybody good? Yes. Yeah. Do I have a motion to accept the July 13th, 2017 minutes? Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving on to the second order of business. Discussion of proposed rule change to Chapter 11 per General Circular 184. Is there any public comment about General Circular 184? I believe we addressed it pretty heavily at the last meeting, and this was more of a refining. So, Jason, would you like to speak on it?
Sure. Yes, the one item on General Circular number 184 was tabled to this meeting, and that was the creation of the new Rule 11.29K. And so that was subject for consideration. And I can read it as written, as proposed.
Please do.
11.29K. An agency may pay the balance of an employee's compensatory time at any time. The rate of pay shall be calculated in accordance with the rules.
Any questions or comments?
We have to do the two.
Yes, so it's the considered, the process is consider
So do you want to have a vote
to,
and
put that out.
then as a, it isn't.
All right.
All right, so,
We forgot our process in no matter what one.
I'm sorry. We went through this last month. We have to vote to amend the rule, and then we have to vote to adopt the rule
As amended.
as amended. So,
I move to amend the rule.
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Do I have a motion to adopt the rule as amended?
I'll move.
Second.
Allow for comment.
Allow for comment. Any comment to allow? Sorry.
Well, at the last meeting, I was the one, I think, that raised concern about the way the rule was proposed then and is being proposed today. Since that time, I've done some research on it, gotten some more information and experience on how a very similar set of rules works in civil service and with other agencies, and that has allayed some of my concern that I had. I will make the following comment, however. As written, as we discussed last time, I think it could be subject to abuse. I'm not making an accusation that it will be abused. It could be subject to the abuse, and there could be disparity in treatment amongst troopers on whatever basis that disparity might be allowed. I am withdrawing my objection to the way it is written, with the understanding that going forward, I think we as a commission have an obligation to see how that rule will be applied, and if there are abuses in the future, to address those abuses by putting some limitations on the unfettered discretion that the rule apparently allows. Obviously, the agency will have to, appointing authority will have to view its budgetary constraints as it applies that rule, and I'm sure they will be doing that. And I would caution that, at least me for sure as a commissioner, would be interested in ensuring that as those budgetary constraints are considered, that there's not a disparity in treatment amongst the troopers, and that if it's paid to one, then it ought to be made available to the others.
With that being said, would it be possible for you to maybe annually give us a report on how often this rule is exercised and if there's been any complaints brought to the commission? And that way we can keep track and know how this rule is being exercised by the administration.
And I would agree that would be a reasonable accommodation that would take care of my concerns.
Excellent. Okay, any further comment? All in favor of adopting the rule as amended? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries, rules adopted. We had no further rule adoptions, correct?
Correct. That was
Okay,
the last.
excellent. Number 3, in the matter of Burnell Thompson III, Department of Public Safety and Corrections, Office of State Police, docket number 17-230. Discussion of proposed settlement agreement and presentation by parties. Did we just want to enter executive session, discuss this again as we did last time, since we tabled it?
Yeah, I think that was
Okay, we're going to move on to B, executive session to discuss litigation in the appeal of Burnell Thompson III, docket number 17-230. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, motion carries, entering executive session. On whether to accept proposed settlement agreement. Do I have any comments or motion? Motion to approve settlement agreement or a motion to reject settlement agreement?
I'll move to reject it. If that's an option, I'll move to reject it.
I second.
Okay. All in favor of rejecting the proposed settlement agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries, the settlement is rejected. Moving on to number 4, discussion of response to SPC request that T. Taylor Townsend produce SPC documents that were obtained or generated by him in his role as legal counsel for the State Police Commission, and of the report that he should have prepared in connection with the summary disposition of docket 16-221-I, investigation of LSTA political contributions. Mr. Hanneman?
I would just advise that, again, as I mentioned at the last commission meeting, we received a box of the documents. Documents were received from Taylor Townsend, and I have gone through those items. There is not a report that's related to document number 16-221-I.
And I was aware, became aware from my communications with you that there was no report, at which point I called Taylor Townsend up and requested, as you had already done, that he provide us with a report. At that point, he promised me that he would get us a report. And I will be happy to call again and get a more specific time frame from him to get that report. It was my impression we would have had it by now based on my earlier discussion.
Please notify us if he provides a report. Please notify the board members as soon as we receive it.
Eulis, you gonna try and give him a deadline or ask him for a
Yeah, that's what I'm.
specific,
I-
end to this so we can get it off?
Yes, I will. I had an understanding that there wasn't a specific date discussed when we talked. It was my understanding it would have been prior to now. But I'll make sure we talk about a specific date, time, and place.
Thank you.
All right.
When is the, what is the date of the September meeting?
September the 14th.
If possible, could we request that it be submitted a week prior to the meeting for review by the board members?
I'm actually going to ask that it be at least 2 weeks before the meeting.
That'll work, so. Okay, so please note, we're gonna request that the report be provided at least 2 weeks prior to the next meeting for review by the board members.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is there a prescription involved?
Ms. Feeney?
Issuing the report, I mean, you had so much time to have the hearing, and there was already a vote on a summary disposition, so I don't think that there's prescription on the writing of the decision. The commission rendered a decision. It just doesn't have a written decision to sign off on, so the rules don't address that specifically.
What about breach of contract?
Oh, you're talking about the contract with the state.
That's 10 years.
That's 10 years for that.
10 years.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's Moving on to number 5, other commission business. Do we have any other commission business to discuss?
Well, maybe back up. Number 4, is there anything else going on contextual around that issue by anybody else in terms of an inquiry? Or am I?
About the LSTA?
Yeah.
There are other state agencies that Mr. Mia has filed complaints with. And so Board of Ethics has completed theirs, as I understand it. Did you go to the Inspector General? Did you go to that office?
The civil service is, as we speak, investigating. I'm not at liberty to name anyone.
It would have to be
But
the unclassified
It was
person, a retired trooper.
a DPS employee that's part of that.
Okay.
So my opinion is that if civil service finds that they have, excuse me, if they have jurisdiction over the LSTA and it's not a separate entity like was found on Mr. Townsend, then you have a conflict there because you're just the civil service for state police, but you have the same rules and guidelines and the same responsibilities as civil service. So it would lead me to believe if civil service says they have authority over their individuals, then we're back to the commission. One of them has to be wrong.
No, you can disagree on the interpretation of the rule. The two different commissions can disagree on how the rule is interpreted.
And not only that, I guess my question would be, is civil service looking at the association or is civil service looking at an employee?
I think he's trying to say if they find that they can pursue an employee that was in the association, then this commission should have done the same thing with respect to the troopers that were in the LSTA. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And but the two commissions can have different interpretations. That can exist.
Well, and I would have a question. Do we have authority, absent discipline being imposed, to pursue anything against any of the employees?
Okay, so only the troopers, not the retired troopers. And that was what you all rendered a decision in the summary disposition when Taylor Townsend gave his thoughts on it in, I think, last July. And that's when you all, it was about whether or not to pursue the individuals, and the decision was not to. Because the decision had already been made that we did not have jurisdiction over the organization. So that is the decision that was rendered in July by the commission.
But my question more specifically, though, is there authority within this commission, absent the appointing authority imposing discipline, for us to pursue discipline against an individual officer if it, similar to the issue involved in the appeal, in the settlement we just rejected?
Yeah, this was outside of discipline to begin with. So this was not a disciplinary appeal. This was an investigation instituted by the commission. Does that answer?
I think that answers the question.
Okay.
My question is the Inspector General involved in an investigation at this time?
Is he, this would be from Mr. Millett.
Not of the LSTA. I filed a complaint against the troopers that took the out-of-state trip. I filed a complaint with the Hiller Moore, the district attorney here in East Baton Rouge Parish, the Bureau of Investigation
This
State.
is just the political contributions issue we're talking about,
No,
right?
no.
I mean,
Well, I
that's
can
what
tell
his-
you that
That's what he says.
nobody is investigating this with the exception of possibly the legislative auditor if this ties back to the LSTA. But I believe that's going to be separate and apart from this issue that we're discussing now.
And ethics took it up, and it's finished with its
The
investigation.
ethics found them guilty. They pled guilty with ethics. They were fined $5,000.
The organization.
Right.
Nobody, the Inspector General's not following this thing here. This is
Not to our knowledge.
okay, it's over. That's over. Okay, all right. Okay.
Any further discussion? I'm sorry for moving on from that.
That's all right.
There's still discussion. I apologize. Anything else? All right. right, moving on to number 5, other commission business. Any other commission business at this time?
Can we have a conversation real quick about the insurance premium that went up some $60,000, if I remember correctly? $40,000.
Yeah, I spoke with the administrator at,
And just to put that in context, that's roughly 10% of our annual budget.
right.
Yeah, so I think that bears
previous
some
premiums
discussion.
were approximately $2,400 to
Mhm.
$2,700 previous years. And
Yeah.
then the invoice was for $42,000.
Right. So we went from roughly $2,something hundred to
Yeah.
42,000. So,
Correct, and that's
yeah.
what I reported at the last time in our email conversation.
Mhm.
I have since spoke with someone with the Office of Risk Management, and they investigated the issue. They found it to be an error,
Good.
and have since, are in the process of sending us an amended invoice.
Great.
So we'll be back down under $3,000.
Very good.
When that came
I'm
out,
very sensitive about the budget,
Absolutely.
especially at 10% hit.
As am I.
Yes.
when we got that initial bill, I called him and I said, "What did you do?" And he said, we just assumed it was a misprint. Thank goodness it was.
Very good.
Anything-
Any other budgetary issues to make us aware of?
Not at this time.
Okay.
As far as the director's report,
You're in?
the only item other than to report on the status of the ORM invoice, Office Risk Management invoice we received, was to advise that as of this morning, Centenary College have been copied on the commission nominations for the 4th Congressional District. So Dr. Holloman with Centenary College has fulfilled his congressional or constitutional obligations to nominate, and that has gone to the governor's office. And I'll be following up with Ellen Palmentier of Boards and Commissions to ensure that she's received the list of 3 nominees as well, so that the governor can then make his appointment within 30 days. That's all I have.
So by the next meeting.
Yes, by this next meeting, we should have a nomination.
Very good. Anything further? Thank everyone for being here. Do I have a
I'll make
motion
a
to
motion
adjourn?
to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.